Hey, welcome back to Minecraft Archives. I hope the video last week was helpful on how to download these jar files. And let's just jump right into 15a and 16a. Classic 0.0.15a Multiplayer Test 1 was released on May 31st, 2009, and I'm going to try to edit all the time frames into previous videos because I know I didn't always mention them. They're going to be in the descriptions at the very least. What is this? I don't know. In any case, there are a few block changes, so I suppose we should start off looking at that. First up, we have oak leaves, and the texture changed from the last version, and I'll show them both right up here. And the other thing to know about them is that the particles for the leaves, and only the leaves, now fall slower. If I could demonstrate by breaking another block, see it's a lot different. The oak log also had a changed texture, and that's really all there is to say about that block. Now, gravel has a new texture. I think this was one of the biggest changes appearance-wise. It's a lot more colorful now, a lot more complex, and also they changed that it only generates underwater now. I'm sure you've already seen that the sand block also changed and is a much lighter color now. The tree shapes were updated, so they look, again, a little bit more like the modern trees. There's something on the wiki about them removing redundant dirt and grass textures, but they don't have any more detail about that, and therefore, neither do I. And of course, the main attraction of this version, multiplayer was added, and I cannot, test this with anyone else, so you'll just have to trust me. I'll do my best to describe. We'll pretend these are other players. So, like the modern default skin today, they use the human mob in multiplayer to represent other players so you could see and interact with each other. Block particles were disabled in multiplayer, I assume because of lag, stuff like that, and players can build inside of others, which, again, I can't show that right now. Just trust me on this. As always, I of course recommend going on the wiki, see all those old screenshots from a time. It's really fascinating to see what people came up with. Meanwhile, I'm just going to build a basic house. Multiplayer Tests 2 through 5 came out on June 3rd. Test 2 changed the human and mob player animation. I believe now it plays too fast. Multiplayer Test 3 fixed some technical server stuff. I'm going to read it off to the best of my knowledge. They introduced better client interpolation to fix some lag, but this also made other players appear to stand still, basically. And it fixed the player animations from the last version, so they play at, a normal speed. Multiplayer Test 4 added visible usernames. They also re-enabled particles in servers, and they reduced the lag that happened from players building and destroying blocks. Multiplayer Test 5 was interesting. Screen went blank when a server would shut down, so that was a fun bug. Well, all this effort was for nothing because I'm going to have to go into 16a to talk about the next few things. Hold on. My house is gone, as suspected, but that's fine. So where were we? 15a Multiplayer Test 5. Aside from the screen going blank, they added a chat. And we're going to get into this later, because I need to get through the rest of 15a before I do the thing with the chat button. The rest of the 15a versions came out on June 4th. Moving on to Multiplayer Test 6, we have some more technical changes. The level sending code was updated, and I wasn't clear on the wording from the wiki, but this either fixed or caused the server to pause whenever a new player logged in. Oh, and the other fun thing about Multiplayer Test 6 is that this version, it just straight up didn't work. It didn't work. Multiplayer Test 7 was a lot more successful, though. Players get stuck. They just get stuck now, so. Multiplayer Test 8 thankfully fixed that bug from Test 7, but now players disappear after typing in chat. Now we get to the real version names. We have 15a_01, and that fixed the issue with players disappearing after they typed into chat, but it also crashed a lot. 15a02, though, only crashed sometimes, and it had a very specific bug. I'm gonna have to find some water for this. I'm just going to read it off as worded. When two blocks are placed diagonally from each other, with water on one side and air on the other, the player can swim up the water even if they're standing on the dry side. And I just discovered a new bug here. If you're looking through a transparent block, I guess that just Yeah, it just straight up makes the water not visible. I'm gonna have to put that on the wiki. For comparison's sake, I want to show that this was actually present in 15A Multiplayer 1, or at least the version of it that's archived in the launcher. So let's get back to it. 15A_03 added an invalid protocol error message, which I guess is helpful, and it fixed a crash. Servers now kick players immediately when they're full. Oh, and the other thing was that single player does not work, so that's very cool. Since we're talking about single player not working, let's go back to that fun chat thing. So multiplayer test 5, if you type a message in single player and you send it, the game crashes. So on June 7th, we get all the versions of 16A. The OG made multiplayer public instead of the temporary private servers that would only be up for a few hours or so, maybe half an hour. And that started with, we assume, server version 1.0. Some commands were added, and that includes /ban, kick, broadcast for sharing a message. That's really all for those commands. Yeah, so this is an abrupt change of scenery. I'm actually recording this later because my last clip kind of disappeared, so I'm doing it over again. 16A was also helpful in that it reduced bandwidth and it fixed a lot of other minor bugs. At this point, Notch also started thinking about doing a survival test. Hopefully we can get to survival test in the near future. There's still a bit more multiplayer tests to go through after 16A. Moving on to _01, which was again presumably packaged along with server version 1.1. They added a private flag, and I think that's pretty straightforward. I'm sure that just meant you could make a server that was private instead of public. Another change here is that they renamed the command /broadcast to /say. I'm honestly not sure what the point of that command was anyway, because I'm not sure how that differs from just sending a message with the chat key. And it also fixed a network connection bug. Lastly, we have _02, and that one we know came with server version 1.2. It fixed another connection problem, the command ban IP. It fixed some flicker on the login screen, and it disabled mob spawning in multiplayer, as that was, as you can imagine, a little confusing, distinguishing humans from the players. It's also interesting to note that C418 had a server at this point, and that pretty much covers versions 15 and 16A. I'm going to leave you with, in the card up there, I'm going to link to a very chaotic video someone recorded back at the time. It's on FoxBlitz's YouTube channel, and it's just a really fun shenanigans with a bunch of lava and stuff like that. And I hope you all enjoy watching it. I'm going to try to be more consistent about doing these archive videos, so next Wednesday, the next one should be up. And on Friday, I'll be back to my survival Let's Play. Thank you all for watching, like, subscribe, all that, and I'll see you next time.